Hey, everybody. Welcome to Tap Into Your G. I am Jalita Mims, the founder of Raise Your Energy, and each week here on Zoom, we explore practical mindset tools through gratitude, emotion, and elevation to help us create with more intention to live the lives that we really want to live. So, if you've been here before, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining. And if it's your first time, you are absolutely in the right place, and I'm grateful that you decided to spend some time with us. So, wherever you're joining from, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Now let's tap into our G. So last week, some of you were here, I believe, when we did the visualization exercise, the manifestation experiment. And I asked you guys to pick one small thing that you could manifest for that week. You were supposed to say that you're grateful now that, fill in the blank, and do a little visualizing for 60 seconds and being careful not to let doubt trick you out of your spot. So, was anybody that was here last week able to set their intentions on manifesting anything this week or last week that passed? All right. I'm still working on I didn't oh go ahead,
Yeah,
Gail.
I just was gonna say on hello everybody. This is Gail. Last week I did have during the visualization, I've been manifesting a jacuzzi, and I
Mm.
can't wait to get it. I saw it. It was in a cedar casing, and it was kind of turquoise inside and really big under my deck, and I did visualize that. And I didn't this week manifest anything, Gillette. I didn't answer the questions fully
No, it's
because I
okay.
was traveling. So,
But
and
being conscious of just something that
yes,
you want and paying attention, even if the hot tub doesn't show up, now you might be seeing more hot tubs on TV or in movies, or
yeah,
your friends are talking about hot tubs. So
yeah.
you still get evidence, once you set that intention. So thank you.
Interesting because there's one here. I'm in Florida, right, babysitting, and there's one
Mm,
here, and it looks just like the one I visualized. So there it is.
that's the manifestation right there. You're like, oh, by the way, I did manifest it. Thanks. All right, Gail, good job. That's nice. Anybody else that was here? I don't know if anybody else was here last week.
I
Well,
was
a couple
I
people were.
was here, Jalita. I was on
Oh,
call.
did you
Um,
work on anything last week on
I work
manifesting?
I worked on it a little bit, but I will say this, and it's more so to do with the job. I have been like manifesting and just visualizing myself working in like a soft girl nursing role.
Okay.
And so my cousin reached out to me. This might have been like Friday. She reached out to me saying she wanted to introduce me to a manager in another department where, it was more laid back.
Oh, nice.
And then a friend that I used to work with, she just happened to contact me to see how I was doing. Because I changed careers. So I'm like 1 year into this nursing thing, and I work in the emergency department, and it's crazy. But
I bet that's
a,
crazy.
a friend reached out to me and she let me know that she has a role that's open. And if I was interested, she would absolutely hire me to come back to Humana. So,
Wow. You just had
okay.
to set your intention and put it out there, you know?
Yeah. And I'm like, okay,
So,
so I'm starting to get my little office together or whatever, like, hey, working at home, let me get this back together. So anyway, I really have been focusing on that, and things just seem to move pretty quickly, but we'll see how everything goes. But I'll just keep on visualizing and
yes.
manifesting.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's great.
Thank
So we
you.
have two successful wins, I'll say, from last week. Just a brief, just to consider the thing that you want. You know what I'm saying? So here we are. Thank you guys for sharing. So whether you was able to do the experiment or not, if you were here last week, but the purpose of it was to practice alignment before the proof actually appeared, right? So gratitude helped you appreciate what you were creating before you could see it. Emotion allowed you to feel the possibility before it became your physical reality. And then elevation asked you to remain open, follow the nudges, and choose not to let doubt make the decision for you. So those same ideas bring us directly into tonight's conversation, because sometimes life places something in front of you that doesn't match what you've been creating, right? So what's currently available may say one thing, but your vision, your knowing, and the person that you're becoming may be saying something completely different. And that space between what's being offered and what you've been aligning with is what we're going to talk about tonight. So tonight's topic is alignment versus assignment, right? And so I'll start by explaining what I mean. Hey, Paige, ma'am, thanks for
Hey, I made
joining.
it.
Um, Hey, so when I say alignment versus assignment, so what I mean by that, an assignment is what you've been given, right? It might be a circumstance, a diagnosis, a relationship, a job, a financial situation, some type of an expectation, right? It might even be an identity that somebody else placed on you based on your age, your history, your credit score, your education, or choices that you made years ago. But alignment is different though. Alignment is what agrees with the vision that you're holding for your life. It's what matches the person you're becoming, the life you're creating, and what you know is possible for you. So the assignment is what appears to be available based on what you can physically see, right? It's here in your current reality. The alignment is what feels like it belongs to you. And sometimes those two things match, right? But a lot of times they don't. Sometimes life just hands you something and it says, here you go. This is what you qualify for. This is all you can get. This is what makes sense. This is probably the best that you can expect. And because it looks reasonable, we accept it. Because it's better than what we had, we accept it. Because we're afraid that nothing else will come, we accept it. Because we don't want to seem ungrateful or difficult or unrealistic or too demanding, we accept it. But let me ask you this. Have you ever been offered something that looked good on paper, but something inside of you just knew it wasn't right for you? You know? Maybe it was a job that paid more, but it didn't feel aligned. Maybe it was a relationship that it looked good, but it didn't feel good. Maybe it was an opportunity that other people thought you should be jumping up and down about, but you couldn't find the peace in it. Maybe it was something that you once wanted, but now it no longer matches who you've become. It doesn't mean the opportunity was bad. It doesn't mean that you were ungrateful. It might simply mean that what was being assigned to you no longer matches what you've been aligning with. And so this is sometimes where we can get confused because you think that gratitude means that you have to accept everything you offered and just be grateful, right? We think being realistic means we have to choose from whatever is currently in front of us. And we think that if something is better, then it must be right. But better and aligned are not always the same thing. Something can be better than what you had and it still not be what you've been creating. Something can be a good opportunity, but still not be your opportunity. Something could make perfect sense to everybody else around you, but it still feels completely wrong in here. You know? Alignment asks a different question. It doesn't just ask, is this better than what I had? It asks, does this agree with where I'm going? Because an assignment is often based on who you've been, what you have, and what you currently see. But alignment is connecting to who you're becoming, what you've been imagining, what you're willing to believe before you can actually see it. Assignments come with logic, alignment comes with knowing. And tonight, I want to look at the places where we might be accepting assignments just because that's what was handed to us. Where have you allowed your current circumstances to decide what happens next? Where have you accepted good enough because holding out for alignment might have felt a little too risky. And what might change if you stopped assuming that what you were given is all that's available? Because you don't have to accept every identity, every limitation, expectation, or outcome that gets assigned to you. Sometimes you have to look at what's being offered and say, I'm grateful that this is available, but this is not what I've been aligning with. Right. So I'll give an example. For about a year, it might have been a little less than a year. I had been visualizing myself living in this high-rise apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows and a beautiful view of downtown Atlanta, you know. So my current apartment, it was already very nice. It still is. I'm still in the same place. The high-rise apartment was actually smaller, right? So it wasn't about getting out of something that was bad. It wasn't about, definitely wasn't about finding a bigger apartment. It was about creating a different experience. I wanted the floor to ceiling windows. I wanted the city view. I wanted to look out over the city during the day and see the lights, you know, of downtown at night. So I found an apartment, you know, I toured the model apartment, which was on the 15th floor. And it looked and it felt exactly like I can still remember when the door opened and I could see those windows. I just felt like I was home, you know. It felt exactly like what I had been imagining. So I got approved and they assigned me an apartment on the 8th floor, which was not the 15th floor. Clearly the view was different, but I wanted to get in there and see it. So I went back. It was nothing wrong with the apartment. I went in the 8th floor unit. It was in the building I wanted to be in. It was the floor plan. It was available during the time when I wanted to move, but it didn't give me that high rise experience that I had been seeing, right? Repeatedly. And during my meditation, about being in that place, you know, drinking coffee, looking out the window, looking out there at night while there's confusion and traffic, and I'm just peacefully above the city looking at everybody. And that's when the difference became clear. The assignment was the 8th floor, right? But the alignment was the 17th floor. Okay. Now here's where alignment and attachment are not the same thing. As my move-in date got closer, I started noticing a lot of stuff that really made me reconsider moving there, right? So the service elevator had been broken on the day I toured, and it was still broken 2 months later when it was almost time to move in. I have some bigger furniture that I'm like, I'm not able to put this in the guest elevator to bring it up, you know, to move my stuff in. So that was like a red flag, you know. I went back one night to check the parking situation. It felt unsafe in the parking garage. I felt like I was in a Netflix movie and was about to start running and screaming at any moment. And I didn't want to come home to that, you know. Also, I learned that the visitors, if I had visitors, they would have to pay $35 every time they exited the parking garage. And there was really no street parking. So the more it looked good, the worse it looked. You know what I mean? And then my daughter ended up moving back to Georgia, which meant I needed the two-bedroom apartment that I currently have instead of the one-bedroom that would have been in that high rise. So by all the time that all this stuff happened, it was no longer about the 8th floor versus the 17th floor, right? The apartment itself just no longer supported what I needed. So I emailed the leasing office and told them I needed to withdraw my application. And so, like, I don't know, maybe a few days later, I received a call from them and they hadn't seen my email yet, but they were trying to reach me and had left a voicemail to tell me they needed to change my unit and they hoped it wouldn't be a problem, that they unfortunately would have to put me on the 17th floor, not the 9th floor, not the 12th floor, not even the 15th floor where I had toured that model, the 17th floor. The exact floor I had been watching and imagining myself living on. Now, I still chose not to move into the building, right? Because it didn't fit my life anymore. But that does not erase what happened. The assignment changed to the exact floor I had aligned with. And this is important. Alignment is not attachment. Receiving what you aligned with doesn't mean you have to ignore new information or override your needs or force yourself to accept something that no longer fits. The 17th floor confirmed my alignment. Choosing not to move confirmed that I can still trust myself. And this story teaches us something important about alignment. Because sometimes the assignment isn't bad. The eighth floor wasn't bad, right? Sometimes the assignment is even an improvement. My current apartment was already beautiful, and the high rise apartment was smaller, right? This was never about escaping something bad or chasing a bigger space. This is what makes sometimes these moments difficult to recognize because the assignment may be good enough to make you question whether you should continue expecting that thing that aligns with you. It might be better than what you had, right? It might be available now, it might make sense. Other people might look at it and tell you that, you got to be a damn fool if you don't jump on that, boy. You know what I'm saying? I was grateful for the opportunity to live in the building, right? But gratitude didn't require me to abandon the experience I had been imagining. Rejecting the eighth floor would not have made me ungrateful. It would have meant that I trusted the alignment more than I feared losing the assignment, right? And the fear is often what keeps us accepting those assignments because we think, what if nothing better comes? What if I turn this down and then I regret it? What if this is the best I can get? What if I'm asking for too much? What if I should just be grateful and take what I can get? This might happen in your career. You might be offered a position that pays more than your current role, right? But it doesn't match the direction you want your life to take. So the assignment says it's more money, just take it. But the alignment asks, does this support the life I'm creating? Maybe it's in a relationship. Somebody might have all the qualities that you want in a partner. They may look great on paper. They may look good in pictures. Your family and friends may go crazy over this person. But something inside you knows the relationship doesn't feel aligned. The assignment might say, at least you had somebody, right? But the alignment says, I'm not looking for somebody. I'm creating a partnership that agrees with who I am. Maybe it's with your finances, your current bank balance, your credit score, your income, right? That might appear to assign you to a certain lifestyle, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? The assignment might be saying this is all you can afford, this is all you qualify for, this is as far as you can go. And the alignment says these numbers might describe where I'm at today, but they don't define where I'm going. I'm aligning with more income, more options, and financial freedom. This is what I'm creating. It may happen with the age or the stage of your life. The assignment might say, you should have done this by now. It's too late to start over. Like, what are you kidding me? You about to start school at this age? You about to build a business and you 50 something years old? You need to be satisfied with what you already did. Don't quit that job. You know what I'm saying? You better get that good government retirement. The alignment says everything I have lived has been preparing me for what I'm becoming, right? And it can even happen with the identity because it's so easy for other people to assign you an identity. They might see you based on who you were in your past. They might expect you to keep making those same choices, accepting the same treatment, or remaining in the same place. But alignment allows you to say that might be who you remember, but guess what? That's not who I'm becoming, right? But something bigger that I think we need to recognize is that these assignments don't always come from other people or from an institution or a circumstance. Sometimes we're assigning these limitations to ourselves. We look at our past and decide, like, I'm not good with money. I mess up all the money I get. I'm not good with money. I always choose the wrong relationships. I never finish what I start. I'm too old to start over. I missed the opportunity. I'm not qualified. I'm not. Right? Nobody else might even be saying those things to us anymore. But we continue repeating the assignment. We continue living according to an identity that we've already outgrown. So the assignment might be what the world handed to you, but it may also be the conclusion you created from what happened to you, right? Because alignment requires you to ask, is this still true? Does this belief agree with who I'm becoming? Am I choosing this because it feels aligned or because it feels safe? because safe and aligned aren't always the same thing. Familiar and aligned aren't always the same thing. Available and aligned are not always the same thing. Better and aligned are not always the same thing. So now I want to hear from y'all, you know. I want you to think about an area in your life where you might have been assigned the 8th floor, right? But you was aligned with the 17th floor. It could be connected to your career, a relationship, finances, health, age, opportunity, the way you currently see yourself. So what have you been offered or told or led to believe that doesn't fully agree with the life that you're creating? And we can keep it simple. 2 statements. The assignment is, but the alignment is. So before you answer, I want to talk about how an assignment can feel so believable. Assignments come with receipts, usually, right? They come with bank statements, credit scores, diagnosis, rejection emails, relationship history, your age, or something an authority figure might have told you in your past, right? And we're not pretending that the evidence doesn't exist. But there's a difference between evidence that describes what has happened and evidence that gets to decide what can happen next, right? The facts may be real, but the conclusion is the meaning you attach to them. And that conclusion can become an assignment. So your bank balance is a fact. I'll never experience financial freedom is a conclusion that you might come to because of your bank balance. A relationship ended. That's a fact. Healthy love is not available to me is a conclusion. That's something that you're making up or coming up with as your answer to the fact that took place. You received a rejection. That's a fact. But then you may conclude that you're not qualified and it'll never happen. So the assignment often feels more believable than the thing that you're aligning with because the assignment usually has some kind of evidence. Alignment is asking whether that evidence is information or the final answer, right? So when you think about your assignment, ask yourself, what part of this is a fact? What conclusion have I attached to the fact? You know, like an example would be the assignment is that I have to stay in this job because it's secure. But the alignment is work that supports me financially and allows me to use my gifts, you know, and explore my talents. So, what's an assignment in your life right now? Like, what is the assignment? And what evidence has made the assignment feel believable? So, I'm going to just put these couple of questions. And if somebody wants to share, I'll put these in the chat. What is the assignment in your life right now? And remember, the assignment is the thing that's been given to you that mostly has evidence and receipts. And what evidence has made the assignment feel believable? Mac, I see you've unmuted. Did you want to say something or you just accidentally unmuted?
Apologies, that was a mistake.
Okay, thank you for joining. So what is the assignment in your life right now? Something that you know, it's an assignment. Page.
Okay, I'll share.
Okay, thank
So
you.
the assignment, wait, I want to make sure I got this right. The assignment is what you're currently doing, but the alignment is fact, right?
The assignment is the fact. The
Okay,
assignment is the thing you were given, but the alignment is the thing you would prefer, basically.
there we go. Okay. So the assignment is or was singing.
Mm.
And whatever that may look like. For many years, you know, you hear, oh, you're gonna be a superstar. You're supposed to be where Beyonce at, you know, those comparisons and things like that of that nature, just because you can sing really well. And then as opposed to that, I mean, as you keep hearing it, you start to develop this mindset in your head that if you are not a mainstream artist, that you have failed.
Mm.
And then the alignment was in return. Now that I'm teaching, so I still get to sing every day because I sing with my babies every day. And that was just okay. Just give me a second, BJ. That was the original goal. The goal for me was to just always sing and to always have a fan base no matter where I went. And
Mm.
It ended up being just that, me thinking that I had failed because I was not mainstream was kind of like the mindset that set me back and kind of kept me back from what I was actually supposed to be doing.
That you was aligning with,
Right, what
right?
I was aligning with, what I was supposed to be doing, that was setting me up to be able to sing each and every day as freely as I want, not up under nobody saying, "Oh, you got to sing this song," and we needed to sound like this and that sort of thing. So the so that it kind of it makes sense to me to not have to be thinking about mainstream stuff all the time and holding myself to a standard to be like, "Oh, I failed," but in the same sense to the outside world or what people had placed on me, which was that you're gonna be a superstar and this, this this title that they placed on me just based off of hearing my voice. Basically, it kind of messed up my. I ain't gonna say it messed up. It trained my way of thinking that kind of took me away from my actual alignment
Mm.
for a long time, which I'm just now getting to a place where I understand my alignment and my purpose with music now. It wasn't just to always be stuck in this box of being the next Beyonce or being the next, whoever. It was to be able to create freely and sing and use my voice in whichever way I choose.
That's powerful. That's the big, beautiful one of the pieces about the alignment. It encompasses so much more than the assignment. The alignment of you being able to sing and teach singing and sing whatever you want. It's no rules. It's no record label telling you, whatever they be telling people. I was gonna
Right.
try to make a joke that wasn't gonna be funny, but um I thought I seen Suge Knight hanging somebody over the balcony. I want to picture that for you, Paige. But
I'm telling you, no, it is really that detrimental because it's like,
yeah.
oh, you get put in this box where you gotta sing sex. You gotta every song had to be about sex sales or you the broken damsel in distress or things of
Mm-hmm.
that nature. And that's what they're pitching to you that sales. But maybe your songs are more free spirited and maybe you want to sing about freedom and just, waking up every day living your
Happiness.
best life. But
Yeah.
because this is what society has placed as the norm and what sells, now this is what you gotta do if you want to make it and be this superstar. So, yeah,
That's a
that's true.
great example. Thank you for sharing that. That
Of
was a
course.
great example. Anybody else? With Chando, I know you just joined. We're talking about assignment versus alignment, and assignment is usually what's given to you. Sometimes it has receipts like a bank account balance. Somebody told you something that you can't be, can't do, but then alignment, and I gave an example of me aligning with the high rise apartment and getting assigned to the eighth floor, but then manifesting the 17th floor, which was more what I was aligned with versus them assigning me the eighth floor. So, anybody want to share any other, like what is something that's an assignment for you right now? If you would like to share, we are here.
I got something, but give me 1 second.
Yeah, take two. Take two. Sometimes too with alignment, you afraid that like, oh, what if I lose out on something because I'm choosing to hold on for this alignment, this thing, what if I'm not taking the thing that they're like, here, this is all you can get. Like here, you get this. Thank you, Shonda. Love you. Thanks for popping in. Um, yeah, so it's like the alignment is bigger than the assignment. So I don't know if Devontae you still need a minute or if I should anybody else if Devontae.
Oh no, I should be good. Yeah. So, Jalita, I was gonna say, when I took the job here in Charlotte, I'm like, oh my God, it's a great job. It was, I could stay there for free for 3 months and all these things. Like, I'm thinking that's like my alignment. But when I got there, the job wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. And like now, because I didn't just stay there like, oh, that's going to be the only job. I ended up doing something totally different. And I feel so much freer. My life is just so much better. And I'm not working 12 hours. I'm making more money than I was
Mm,
making as a manager. So I also be looking at that too. Like, I thought that was my alignment. Oh my God, they gave me the job. They're gonna let me stay at the hotel for 3 months, and I only, I'm gonna save all this money. But in all reality, it didn't work out like that.
It wasn't
And I
aligned.
didn't stay there because somebody chose me. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's all I was gonna say.
Yeah, that was a good example too, though, and like you said, there's always the feeling of more freedom in the alignment than the assignment. That's
Exactly.
been my experience. Or like what Paige was saying, there's more opportunity within the
Mm-hmm.
alignment than the
Yeah.
assignment, right? Thank you, Devontae.
You're
Appreciate that.
welcome. You know I support you.
I know you do. Thank you. So, last week when we were on the call, I went through my manifestation of how I got my car, right? So I'm not going to go back through the whole thing about that, but I just wanted to revisit it as an example, another example of alignment versus assignment, right? So, as a recap, 2013, I was driving a 1998 Ford Taurus that was breaking down every 10 days, but I had been visualizing myself driving a shiny black Honda Accord, right? I saw it in my mind, I imagined myself inside of it, and I had already started treating the car as if it belonged to me. Right. So when I went to the dealership, the salesman told me that there was two cars that I qualified for. And the first one he showed me was a silver Honda Civic. It was fairly new. It was shiny. It was newer than the Taurus that I had. It was probably not going to break down every 10 days. So from the outside, it looked like an obvious improvement. But when I test drove it, it felt like trash. It felt very cramped. I didn't like it. It felt ugly. It felt smelly. It probably was not smelly, y'all, but it just felt like it was not me. You know what I mean? The most important part was it wasn't mine. And I even told the salesman, I'm like, this is not my car. And I remember just feeling like I had the ick while I'm behind the wheel. And I just kept saying, this is not my car. And this man laughed at me and he said, it's better than that thing you drove in here in. Excuse me? And technically, he was right, right? The silver Civic was better than the car I had been driving. But he was comparing the offer to where I had been, like the Taurus. He wasn't comparing it to where I was going, which was to me the Honda Accord, right? The silver Civic was the assignment, but the black Honda Accord was the alignment. So I left that dealership without taking a Civic. I felt like I needed to take a bath. I just felt icky after I got out of that car. And it wasn't even a dirty, nasty car. It just wasn't the car that I had been pouring all this energy aligning with. So 2 days later, I was at work looking at the dealership website and I saw a black Honda Accord on the homepage. I got excited. I yelled out, that's my car. Called the dealership. I was a little nervous. And I told him, I'm like, listen, man, I see this car on the website. And he said, oh, yeah. That was the other car I was going to show you. The other car? So the black Honda Accord had been there the entire time, right? But I had to be willing to walk away from the almost right assignment, which was the Civic, before I could recognize what I had aligned with was already there, right? And then the final confirmation was during the manifestation process, I had created all this pretend paperwork with the VIN number from a random Honda that I found online. And when I got the car in my possession, the keychain was the VIN number that I had put on my paperwork of the fake bill of sale and the document. So I had aligned with the actual vehicle that I was manifesting, right? I hadn't aligned with the exact car. The silver Civic, it wasn't a bad car, you know. It was an almost right assignment. And almost right can be one of the strongest tests of your alignments because assignments come with logic and alignment comes with knowing, right? So, how do we remain aligned when the assignment is standing right in front of us? How do we acknowledge what's real without allowing it to decide what's final? Right? So, this is where we now tap into our GEE, gratitude, emotion, and elevation, because each part of the framework helps us move from what's been assigned to us towards what we're intentionally creating. So, we start with gratitude. Gratitude allows us to acknowledge the present without declaring that the present is permanent. Gratitude doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. And it doesn't mean accepting something that no longer supports us. I could appreciate that the eighth floor apartment was available without deciding that I had to live there, right? I could acknowledge that the silver Civic was newer than my Taurus without convincing myself that was my car. Gratitude says I can appreciate what's here without closing myself off to what's aligned. Gratitude is not an agreement to settle, but it changes our relationship with the present while still leaving room for something different. So ask yourself, what can I appreciate about where I am without deciding that this is where I have to stay? Because current reality could be very temporary, depending on how you decide to play it, right? Next is emotion. Emotion helps us notice what's happening underneath the decision we're considering. But emotion is feedback, not always instruction, right? An aligned choice can still make you nervous. Like I felt a little nervous when I called the dealership to ask about the car I saw on the website. But underneath, I think that nervousness was knowing because the silver Civic felt wrong, right? And I would have had to convince myself to accept it. The black Accord made me nervous, but I didn't have to convince myself that it was mine, right? So that's the difference that you're listening for. When I imagine accepting the assignment, do I feel aligned or do I feel like I'm talking myself into it? Right? But when I imagine what I'm aligning with, what changes? Right? You're not looking for a choice that creates no fear. You listening for what feels true underneath the fear. And then for the elevation, that's when alignment becomes action, right? It's the choice that agrees with what you know and it supports what you're becoming. For me, the elevation looked like walking away from the silver Civic. It also looked like withdrawing from the apartment when I realized it didn't support my needs, even after I got the unit that I was aligning with, right? It didn't require me to ignore new information to be in alignment. I just had to make the choice that continued to support who I was becoming, right? It doesn't have to be dramatic. It might just be you saying no. You might ask for more information, create a boundary, right? You don't have to know every step. Just recognize that the next choice that agrees with where you're going. You just need to recognize that choice, right? So if you put it all together, the gratitude, you can ask, what can I appreciate now without deciding that I have to stay here? Emotion, what do I notice when I compare the assignment with what feels aligned? Elevation, what is one choice I can make that supports who I'm becoming, right? So your assignment might describe your current reality, but your gratitude, emotion, and elevation help keep your current reality from becoming the final conclusion, right? So last week we did I want to do one more quick little like a meditation or just a reset if you don't mind, if you're able to. I know some people are like out and about or driving, so you may not be able to do it, but I wanted just to take 5 or 6 minutes just to get more attached or aware of the thing that you're aligning with. So hopefully throughout this time, you've thought of something that you may have as an assignment, whether you're able to share with the group or, you know, if you did already share. But just think about the thing that you've been assigned that doesn't particularly match the thing in which you feel like you're aligned or aligning with. Okay. So if you can get comfortable, I'm gonna see. I don't know if this music really worked last time, but we'll see. Is everybody on mute? Okay. So if you can get comfortable in your seat, and if you're sitting, place both feet on the floor, if that's comfortable or whatever's comfortable for you. So if you can, close your eyes or you can simply soften your gaze. And now take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and then release it through your mouth. Take another deep breath in and slowly let it go. One more time, breathe in and breathe out. Now bring to mind the assignment you identified tonight. Not every assignment in every area of your life, just one. Complete this sentence silently. The assignment is, and you fill in the blank. Notice what comes up without judging it or attempting to change it. You may see a number. You may hear something someone told you. You may remember an experience from your past. You might see evidence that has made this assignment feel believable. Acknowledge what is present and silently remind yourself, this may describe what is, but it does not decide what I am creating. Imagine placing that assignment on a piece of paper in front of you. You're not tearing up the paper. You're just going to write it down. You're not pretending that the assignment doesn't exist. You're simply setting it down. It's information. It's not your final answer. Now gently turn your attention toward your alignment. Complete this sentence silently. But I am aligning with. Allow yourself to see it. Where are you? What is happening to you? What can you see? What can you hear? Who are you becoming in this version of your life? Notice how you carry yourself. Notice the choices you make. Notice what is different because you are no longer allowing the assignment to make every decision for you. Now tap into gratitude. What can you appreciate about where you are without deciding that this is where you have to stay? Silently say, I am grateful for what this moment has shown me. And then I am grateful now for what I am creating. Now tap into emotion. What do you feel as you experience your alignment? Maybe it's peace, freedom, relief, joy, confidence, or simply a quiet sense of knowing. You do not have to force the feeling. Just allow yourself to notice what is there. Now tap into elevation. Ask yourself, what is one choice I can make that agrees with this alignment? Do not force an answer. Allow a word, an idea, an action, or a next step to rise. It may be a conversation, a boundary, an application, a phone call. Maybe it's a decision or a new way of speaking about yourself. Whatever comes up, trust that you do not need every step tonight. You only need the next aligned one. Take another slow, deep breath in and release it. Breathe in again and let it go. One more final breath in. And as you release it, silently say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Begin bringing your attention back into the room. You can start back to feel your feet on the floor, wiggle your fingers, notice the space around you, and whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes. Thank you guys for that. So as you're thinking, what shifted when you moved your attention from the assignment to the alignment? And was there a choice, a word, anything that might have come up and became clear during this visualization, meditation moment? Um, was there anything that anybody wants to share about their experience with these few minutes of focusing on the alignment?
Yeah, I just felt a sense of like peace.
Mm,
Like something was lifted up off me just now, just making a decision.
that's nice because it is alignment is the piece, because usually the assignment is something that we're just accepting because we think that's the option, that's the choice. But really, deep down inside, there's something more bigger that you want that feels better, which feels peaceful and feels aligned, like it's smooth. So thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to share what they might have experienced during the visualization? Or if there was anything that became clear about a next step? Okay. So tonight, during this visualization, you had to imagine placing your assignment on a piece of paper and setting it down, right? But what we might realize is that old assignments have a way of finding their way back into our hands, right? They return through familiar thoughts, automatic reactions, and the conclusions that we've repeated for years. So this week, I want you to try an alignment experience. So, whatever assignment you chose during the visualization, you can use that same one for the week. It's not every assignment in every area of your life, it just needs to be one thing, right? And you can write these two statements somewhere where you'll see them throughout the week. The assignment is fill in the blank, and then, but I'm aligning with. So I'll put this in the chat if you want to take a screenshot for the weekly experiment. The assignment is blank, but I'm aligning with blank. So for the next 7 days, pay attention to which statement is influencing your thoughts, your words, your choices. And when the assignment speaks, it might sound like, this is probably my only option. Things never work out for me. I'm too old. I'm not qualified. I should just take whatever I can get and stop, making a ruckus. So when you hear that voice, those assignment voices, right? Ask yourself, what is the fact, right? And what conclusion have I attached to it? Like when you see your bank account is low and you conclude that you'll never have financial freedom, that's not a fact. That's just your conclusion that you added to the fact, right? And then you remind yourself, like, this might describe what it is, but it doesn't decide what I'm creating. And then you make one choice that agrees with your alignment. It doesn't have to be a huge action. It might just be changing the way you speak about yourself. It might be asking a question or sending an email or creating a boundary, researching an opportunity, or refusing to talk yourself into something that you already know is not aligned. At the end of the day, write down one thought, a word, a choice, or an action that agreed with your alignment. You right? You can keep it simple. Today, the assignment said blank, but I chose alignment by blank. And the purpose of this experiment is not to pretend that the assignment doesn't exist, right? It's not to make sure that you never hear the assignment's voice again, right? The purpose is to notice when the assignment is attempting you to lead you, the assignment is attempting to lead you to practice choosing alignment instead. So if you did this all week, by the end of the week, you should have 7 pieces of evidence that your current reality no longer gets to make every decision about what you're creating. The assignment may still be present, but it's no longer going to be the only voice in the room, right? So before we close, if you could just think of one aligned choice that came to you during the visualization and jot it down for yourself, that's where your experiment could begin for the week, whatever that thing might be, right? So tonight we talked about the difference between what has been assigned to you and what you're aligning with. And an assignment may come from your circumstances, your past, from another person, a number, a diagnosis, a conclusion that you attach to a fact. And the assignment may be real, but real doesn't mean final. You can acknowledge where you are without allowing it to decide where you're going. Gratitude helps you appreciate the present without making it permanent. Emotion helps you recognize when you're aligned and when you're talking yourself into something. And elevation helps you make the next choice that supports who you're becoming. And remember, alignment is not attachment. You can receive exactly what you align with and still choose differently with new information tells you something that no longer supports your life. The assignment was the 8th floor. The alignment was the 17th floor. The assignment was the silver Civic. The alignment was the black Honda Accord. Something can be better than what you had and still not be aligned. Something can be available without being your only option. Assignments come with logic. Assignments come with evidence. Assignments come with receipts. But alignment comes with knowing. So when the assignment attempts to decide what happens next, remind yourself this may describe what it is, but it does not decide what I'm creating. Stop accepting what they assign you. Start expecting what you have been aligning with. Till next time, be happy, be grateful, be mindful, be you. And I thank everybody for joining, guys. Have a good night.